Hello, my name is Lydia Pribisova. I'm from curatorial board of the Others Art Fair, and I have here two guests from Sweden, from the Konsthall 323, and there is Ylva and Frida, and we will speak about your practice and about your exhibition space, which is very special because it is in one car. Can you tell us, please, how you started to work?
Oh, yes. Wow. Hi. I'm Ylva Trapp, and this is my colleague
Frida Krohn.
And we started this art space, Konsthall 323, Konsthall 323 in Swedish. We started a bit more than 12 years ago. And we're in a car, like a normal, regular car. And why we started out because we wanted to decide and we wanted to be in charge and not ask anyone for permission to do like the art shows we wanted to do or produce the art we wanted to produce. And then we didn't have access to a big white space like this amazing art fair building, and we couldn't really access those places in Stockholm where we lived at the time. And then we realized, well, what have we got? We've got a car, or you had a car, so.
Yes, I had a car, like a normal shitty car from 1983. So, I mean, it was not a fancy car at all, or like a really. And we also subletted our house in second hand, so we didn't have the possibilities to have exhibitions at home. I mean, you can also do that if you don't have the gallery space. But yeah, so this car was like the only stable thing that we really owned for ourselves. So that's, I mean, why we saw that as a possibility.
Okay, so you're an artist and you are presenting there your work and also work of some other artists, or how you select the works?
Yes, we think of Konsthall 323. Sometimes we talk about it as our own artwork because we are artists and not curators mainly. And we sometimes present our own work or we produce work within Konsthall 323. Sometimes we do like long-term projects. We go somewhere. We've been in a suburb of Stockholm for like 5 years doing like research work there on site within the Konsthall. And then we produce and do our own, present our own work, but we also invite other artists. And the selection part is, it's more that people select us than that we select them actually. Someone might approach us with an idea like this would suit so well in a car, or I want to do this in a specific setting, like outside of somewhere or like on a small road in the forest. And then we try to, like together with the artist, find the best parking space, because it's a lot about the surrounding as well, since the space is very small.
Okay, and is it difficult to find a space for parking, or it is easy in Stockholm?
It's actually very easy. I mean, the structure, the infrastructure is built around the car and like commuting with cars, and like you can access even very central parts of Stockholm with the car, and you can get a parking lot for a reasonable sum.
Yes, actually, I mean, the city of Stockholm has like this evening prices of parking garage, so you can park very cheap from like 7 to 12 in the night and access like the city center, like the really in the middle of the city. I mean, that wouldn't be possible for us to have a space, like a wall space, roof and wall space in that address. But we have done 2 shows like in this empty parking garage, and I mean, it's a lot of space made for cars that you can access, and also it's very open structure, I guess. So that's fun also to be able to go to these places and take some control of them, or yeah.
And are you working also with certain topics? Is this travel or journey or car somehow connected thematically with your work, with the exhibitions or with the projects you are doing?
I mean, I guess it's hard to avoid that it's not connected, because the structure of the car is so visible, so you can't like pretend that it's just a white cube. surrounding with nothing from the outside influence the art inside. I would say that is like also the thing that we have thought is interesting because it's adds something extra to the work always. Like it's something, it means something if you are on a supermarket parking lot in November and it rains. The video work becomes something else than it's in a white cube surrounding, I would say.
And also it adds something to like how you can meet with an audience. I mean, the most obvious thing is that it's crowded very quickly. I mean, if we have like 3 people visiting a show, it's a success. And if we have a 4th person coming, then they have to wait in line to get into the space, which creates a nice atmosphere. I mean, even if you cannot get a big audience to get there. And it also creates like a nice atmosphere to sit within a car and like listen to a sound piece or see a video work or like look at drawings or, I mean, we've done several different kind of shows. But mostly we've realized that the audience always wants to stay long and like sit and discuss, and that it's a really nice space for conversations, and that people feel like released and relaxed in the back seat of a car, that maybe you don't if you enter like the white, as typical white cube gallery. You might feel a bit intimidated or like it's a very massive and like impressive space, and the car has other connotations that could bring like you meet the art in another way.
That's why I would like to also ask you why your space is called Konsthall, because you are speaking about this institutional point of view. So why Konsthall?
Well, we talked about this when we started, that a lot of spaces that our artists run in Sweden call themselves galleries, but actually don't necessarily sell art as their first and most important thing. And we didn't want to sell art, or we couldn't.
And it was also, like the time when we started 12 years ago, it was also a lot of rich guy or like old men wanted to have their own Konsthall. So it was, I mean, it was a trend in Stockholm that it opened these private Konsthalls everywhere.
Also Prague.
Yeah, I mean, so then we also wanted to be like them, because they had good life, I guess. Somehow. So I mean, it was also in the surrounding of Stockholm and that timing. That also, I mean, it was also part of the why we chose the name. Not like a project or not like, yeah, we wanted to be for a long time.
And what about the number? Is Konsthall 323? So what it means, this number?
Yeah, it's the first model of the first car that we had. It was a Mazda 323. So
And is it still existing?
No, it had to go because someone broke in and crashed these vital parts of it. So it has to go. And then we also, when that happened, it was like, oh, can we? Is it about this small blue car that it's? It rained in the front window, so we had to have a paper. It was quite charming, actually. And then
where it happened? Where it happened? This
in Stockholm.
in Stockholm.
Yeah. So then we wanted to can we still go on with another car? What should we do? And then we was thinking about the Modern Museum of Art in Stockholm, and they also renovated quite recently, and they didn't change their name. So we were like, we don't change our name either. We just see it as a renovation. So we renovated into a Golf, a Volkswagen Golf, and now we're on our second Golf. And actually we had some problem this week, but it went well.
And how many exhibitions or how many projects you already have done during these 12 years of work?
I don't know. Super hard to say, but sometimes we say we do at least 3 a year. So maybe, I don't know, 12 times 3.
Yeah, I mean, we do very different kind of exhibitions, and as I said before, some things are like long durational things that are more like a research, that we do research, we sit in the car, we decide that we want to do something in a specific part of Stockholm that maybe lack. I mean, there are a lot of different small konsthallar around Stockholm, but mainly in poor areas. I mean, it's something that all of those small spaces deal a lot with the surroundings and the neighborhoods, and we thought that Stockholm lacked these kind of critical contemporary art gaze in richer areas. So we had like a long-term project for a bit more than 5 years. We did a long-term project in Saltsjöbaden, that is like this posh area outside of Stockholm. So we do these kind of things where we do invite other artists to also take part, and we go there a lot in the car and sit and look at people or they produce. We actually, for that work, it all ended with us producing a site-specific musical for cars. So we went through that neighborhood with like a musical played through the car stereo. So we invited an audience to come to go for this guided tour.
And are you traveling also abroad? Can you give us some examples where you traveled? Are you traveling also abroad?
Yes, we do. Sometimes with the car, and sometimes we host like shows in other cars when it's really far away. Like we've been to the US, and then we rented a car there to do a show there. But this summer we went all the way to Luxembourg with the car, and we managed to get there, and we were part of an art radio festival. So we produced a 22-hour long sound piece for that radio show, and then we made it back home with the car. But we had to go through some reparations, or like go through some tough times in Germany on the way back.
And you are working also often with radio or sound. You told me before that you worked also with some radio. Can you tell us more about this project?
Yeah, I think the sound, we discovered quite early that sound and conversations is very good. I mean, in the beginning we also wanted a bit to mock on these artist talks that is taking place, like the one we're doing right now, because it's a lot of talking in the art world. So we wanted to do something fun about that, and invited since it's a back seat, so we could just be like one person speaking and one audience. So we did that like in the beginning, because also then we were more like trying to adapt to this Konsthall situation, or like what do they have? Do they have a cafe? Do we have to have an espresso bar? Or I mean, how is it working to have a Konsthall? And then we like figured out that this conversation and sound worked really good in this car, like in the room actually.
Great. And maybe can you tell us something about your financial support, like how you finance your projects?
Well, mainly it's from our own salaries actually. That's we wanted to do something that could be sustainable, that we could keep up with, no matter if we got like financial support or not. And we didn't want to ask anyone for permission to do what we wanted to do. So I think that's why we've been keeping this work up for 12 years as well, that we don't need financial support. We don't need to do like applications so much. We mainly do it with our own money actually, and since it's a very small structure and it's a very low budget thing, we can keep up with it, and it actually makes it very sustainable in the long run. That, I mean, even though there might be really big political or financial changes, we can still like keep up with this, hopefully.
No, but I guess that was also why we started it, to be like really independent, or like to not ask of permission to do your work. That could be the feeling with application and this, that you, before you even have started, you have to ask someone else if it's okay. And it gives you some not super good energy. So, Ylva talked also about like this with 4 people in the audience, it's a success, because we also had we had also this normal wall gallery, wall and floor and roof gallery also. And it's also, you sit and wait for audience, and if it comes just 4, then it's not a success. But so we really wanted to have something to work with that is, that we could be happy with in an easy way. So 4 people is a good audience, not a bad one. And so I guess that's also how we think about the financial situation. Like if we have 500 Swedish crowns, like 50 euro, we can do, we have gas for a quite long time. And and since our show, often when we show other artists' works, it could just be for like 3-4 hours, because we don't have a toilet, for example, and it gets cold. So.
And what are you planning next year or next months? Can you tell us something about your plans?
Now we're here on this journey to Italy, and then when we get home, like next week, we will go to the north of Sweden and do a screening of a video work from another artist. And it will be like outside of this grocery store, quite a bit north. So hopefully it will be quite cold and maybe rainy. And we might do something about, like, maybe go with the car through the parking lot and simultaneously project the video out of the car and on the surrounding. We'll see. I'm really looking forward to it, actually.
And then we have some plans for Norway next year, and that's also a sound festival too. And then we have been planning do some drawings and and that's also like how we plan things, make a big paper of like words and drawings, and sometimes often it will happen. The thing that we have drawn becomes reality, and that's amazing.
So I think that you can add something in the end. Maybe you can send some message to the art fair of the people who are watching us.
Some message. In Sweden it's called kör, kör, kör. It's like drive, drive, drive. Go. You can do a lot with a little money and also a little time. If you have just 3 hours, you can make a show. It works. You don't have to wait for someone else to invite you. Now you invited us, so we are super grateful for that. But you can also work with parking lots. You can have an exhibition on your bike. I don't know. It also, and that's also fun, because a lot of often when we talk about our space, the first question we get is like, why don't you have a truck, or why don't you, are you not going for a bus, or like that it's have to be bigger and bigger? And we're like, no, but we really like this normal car because it fits in the normal world. Also hard for us, we can't drive buses, and then we have to have a bus license, and it costs money. But it's also nice that it's just can park outside of IKEA and we can have a show there, or from a grocery store, or that it's something normal or not like extra. So that maybe it's a message. It doesn't have to be crowded, huge, or a lot. You can still do and show art. I don't know. Do you have a more message, Ylva?
No, I think you said it well. You can see, you can use what you have, and you'll find that you can really do something with with the resources you have. It doesn't have to get bigger, and better and better. It can also be something that you can sustain.
I think this is also a nice message for the art fair, which is also kind of small but very nice and particular. Okay, thank you very much and enjoy your stay here and your travel to Italy as well.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It was great.